Okay, for our second tutorial, I have for writing assignment 1, I made up a few paragraphs to go along with the topic so you can kind of see both how to approach it and how to lay it out, the physical part of it. So let's just walk through what I have here for you. So you'll notice I have up here at the top page number, and that will be on each page. So this is page 1. There's not a cover sheet that goes with an MLA formatted essay in college. There may be other classes. APA will sometimes have a cover sheet. There's different things that instructors will want from you. But in general, if you're not given any guidelines, this is what your first page of an essay should look like. So your name should be at the top, and your page number should be at the top of each page. Notice there's a space in between your last name and the page number itself. So this is your identification. Again, fairly standard format. Top left corner, your name, the course and the section number, the date, and the title of your assignment. The next thing you'll see is a title, and it is always centered. It is not underlined, it is not in bold, it is not in italics, it is not in quotation marks. It should be capitalized properly. It is in the same size font as the rest of your paper. And no combination of any of those things, please. I've seen every variation. It should look just like it looks here. And I have the notes, the footnotes for these. You can go down to the bottom of the page and see all these if you need to know again later on as you're looking at the document. So my title is The Function of the Green Man in Medieval Art. So the monster I've selected, the kind of monster, is called the Green Man. All right. And my argument is going to be what I think the function of the Green Man is. So we'll work more with titles in week 3, week 4, I don't remember which week it is. But your title should relate to your claim. So my claim is down here. The Green Man was a symbol of nature that reassured them being the people of the Middle Ages, that spring and the warm planting season would arrive after a dark, dangerous winter year. So I will be writing about the function of the Green Man as a symbol of nature. That's what my argument is about. So this is my introduction. Carvings of the Green Man are everywhere in medieval art. They can be seen carved on the lintels of church doors throughout Europe. Some are more elaborate than others, but all have the same basic features. Only the head appears with vines and leaves wreathing the face. The Green Man is an example of the blended monstrous, the combination of human and organic plant matter. All right? Now here I ask kind of a question, and it's okay to ask questions in your introduction, but your claim cannot be stated as a question. Again, in week 3 or so, we'll talk about what a claim is, why it's not a question. A claim should always be a definitive statement like mine is. But you can use, in your introduction, you can ask questions. That's fine. That's kind of a stylistic device, right? Why were the people of the Middle Ages so interested in the Green Man, a seemingly pagan monstrous deity, that they would carve him in their sacred spaces? And again, here's my claim, because he was a symbol of nature. That's his function. All right? So the rest of the argument needs to support the idea that the Green Man is a symbol of nature. All right? So that's what I'm promising my readers. I have used 2 sources in this sample, a source by Richard Heyman and a source by Fran and Jeff Dole. All right. So the first source I have, according to Richard Heyman, who has written several books on British churches and the Green Man, so I've introduced my source so you know that this material that's coming is from somewhere else. It's not my own ideas. And here's my source, Richard Heyman. I know he's written several books on British churches and the Green Man itself. That's sort of a way of providing his credentials to show you, hey, look, I'm using really appropriate sources. There are 3 types of the Green Man image as is seen in figures 1 to 3. So we have figures. You're going to include either one image or whatever. I've got 3 different kinds of green man heads here. So I needed 3. So whatever images you need are fine. And you need to refer to them. You'll have the images, 1, 2, 3 images. And, oh, I didn't remove my hyperlink from these. I'm pretty sure I did, but they're still there. Oh well. And they all have a caption, right? Each one of these figures has a caption. So in my paper, I'm actually referring to them. There are 3 types of the green man image as is seen in figures 1 to 3. I don't say as you can see. I never use you in my argument at all. No second person. The foliate head is completely covered in green leaves. The disgorging head spews vegetation from its mouth, and the bloodsucker head sprouts vegetation from its tear ducts, nostrils, and mouth. The foliate head in figure 1 has leaves around its face. The disgorging head, figure 2, and the blood-sucking head, figure 3, both have leaves coming out of their head. So I refer to each of my images somewhere in the essay. And I've done it in 2 different ways to give you some ideas of how you can add some variety. Here, figures 1, 3, figures actually written out, but when I'm using it in parentheses, it's fig.2, fig.3. All right, that's just standard. Here's my second source, and this is my conclusion here. And you notice I'm not saying in conclusion. All right, we want to be a little more sophisticated than that. And I'm not saying according to this time like I did up here when I introduced Richard Heyman. I said according to Richard Heyman. I'm going to do something a little different, again, for some variety. Fran and Jeff Duell argue that the image of the green man continues to be an important symbol, not so much for its fertility reference directly, but as a symbol of preserving the earth. Now here I have in parens, and then the period, 152. That refers to the page number. Let me go down to my works cited here. Fran and Jeff Duell wrote a book called The Green Man in Britain, and I was looking at a print copy of this, all right, which means I had access to page numbers. So since I do have a page number, I have it here in parens, 152. In my first source, according to Richard Heyman, you see no page numbers referenced anywhere. That's because it was an HTML document with no page numbers referenced. And I'll show you examples of both of those in the first or the second week of class. All right, so we'll talk more about that later. But I used a citation here because there was a page number, and I don't need to include their names again because it's already there. I don't need to do it twice. With the growing popularity of the green movement and the desire to keep our planet healthy, people continue to be drawn to the image of the monstrous green man connecting us to our medieval ancestors. So this is my conclusion. Obviously, there are no big, this isn't a big paper. This is just a couple of paragraphs. My introduction, the paragraph that describes my 3 artworks, and a conclusion. That's all I've provided for you here. The last thing I want to look at is the works cited on its own page. Works cited, centered in the middle, not works cited, works cited, just like I have here. 2 sources. They're in alphabetical order. There are no URLs. This is proper MLA citations, which we'll cover in week 2. There are no extra spaces. You don't see any extra spaces in here either. You'll have to go into your software program, whatever you're using, Word or something on a Mac, and make sure there are no extra paragraphs anywhere. Everything's double spaced. All right. And that the citations are all correct in MLA format. Right? The last thing I want to point out is, again, a design thing. Your formal essays should be left justified only. Justified means that all of the words line up flush to the left margin here. They are ragged. Right ragged is another way of saying this on the right here. Okay? We do not center no centering and no full justification, which means it would be a block here and a block here. This is exactly what it should look like. So run through these sample paragraphs, and again, if you have any questions, please let me know.